So now we're going to talk about application with the XJet. Surfaces that are delicate is when we're going to use this. Well, we're always going to soft wash when it comes to roofs because we never pressure wash roofs. And if we ever see wood and painted surfaces that are already chipping or rotting, we would use this. We would also sometimes use soft washing for wooden decks, but it's important that with wooden decks, you rinse very heavily after you apply a solution like this. In this case here, we have materials that we don't have to worry about damaging with too strong of a solution. We've got our hose hooked up into our chem tank here. And as soon as I go on the trigger with the pressure washer, it's going to start sucking the solution and coming out the end here. Something to note though, because we have about 70 feet of draw tube connected to our container, it takes a few seconds before the solution makes it to the end and starts coming out. And that's especially important to keep in mind if we were, say, cleaning a roof up here, because therein lies sometimes a drawback with the system where, because this draw tube is up on the top and this container is on the ground, the gravity is coming into play and the suction is compromised when it has to fight gravity going to the top. So point being, if you're on the roof and your draw container is on the ground, you're going to have to wait extra long before the solution makes it up to the top of the tube. And that's something to keep in mind, because if you're spraying the roof, you want to be spraying it with solution. You don't want to be spraying it with water, because water is just going to dilute your solution once you finally do get solution on there. So if you are on a roof spraying, try to spray somewhere else before the solution starts coming out, and then go onto the roof and start spraying the solution. In this case, it won't be such an issue. What I will say is that you can hear the difference at the end of the nozzle when the solution starts coming out. It's hard to explain the difference in the noise, but once you hear it a few times, it's easy to remember. So I'm just going to show an example here. We're going to be spraying this bottom and this wall here, this older stucco. So I'm going to go on the gun. Currently, there's no solution coming out yet. Now we have solution. That right there, for this area, would have been a sufficient application. As you can see, it's not a lot, but if you could smell what we're smelling now, we can smell that solution has been applied. And now we're going to let it dwell. We're going to let it dwell for at least 10 minutes. That way it gives it time for all that organic growth to start breaking down before we can then hit it with a pressure washer. But in that case, from a very far distance. So it's more of just a high pressure rinse. And as you can see instantly, as we've sprayed it here, the green starts to turn to a brown. It happens over the course of a few minutes. So you won't see a huge difference just yet because it's only been about 45 seconds. But if we were to come back here in about 5 minutes, it very clearly goes from a green to a brown, and that's how you know the organic growth is dead. It loosens up from its hold on the surface, and you can now remove it with a lot less pressure and allow it to keep the surface clean and safe while doing so. So here we are 5 minutes later after the area that we've sprayed. As you can see, there's no more green colors. It's all turned to a brown. And if we were to just use not even a pressure washer that's turned on, as you can see, that which was previously green is now brown, and it comes off at a very light pressure, even like this. And this is where we can see the power of soft washing, because we don't have to use high pressure. Naturally, the machine should normally be on. Later, we're going to turn on the machine and get that cleaned up properly. But just to illustrate, even at such low pressure as a machine being off, the organic growth can be removed and you're keeping the surface safe and unharmed.